All right. So YouTube is up. Facebook is up. All right, so I need a little bit of adjustment. Good morning on YouTube. Camera issues over here. And I'll fix YouTube and it'll screw up Facebook. Because that's the way things go. A little bit higher there. Cutting off my head all the time. Don't know. So I'm going to wait just a few minutes here to get people here. I didn't send out any messages today or yesterday or the day before about this weekend. So people may have forgotten or thought I wasn't here, but I am here. I'll hang out just for a little minute more. And in all honesty, morning guys, I wasn't sure. Who's with me? Morning, Cheryl, Amy, good morning. I wasn't sure I was going to be here. After yesterday, I was not in the proper place to be here, here on the mat, guiding a class. But then I went and I took action last night, and it felt really good. It's still not good. Still not good, but it felt better. So I am bringing that here, right? So we are practicing determination and being fierce in your practice. And that's going to include some things that might be a little challenging, some things that might get a little scary, right? You'll see what I mean when we get there, so don't panic just yet. But body and mind feels better in movement. And we know this, I know this, I've known this, but sometimes you just need a slap in the face to remember, right? So that's the direction we're going. But remember that whatever your day is, right? If you need some extra self-care today, maybe you don't hit it quite so hard. Maybe you take some modifications or take a break when the more challenging positions come, so that no matter where you are, you're honoring what you need, right? And even just being on the mat and being in this place can make a big difference. So let's practice. We're going to come to a comfortable seat, and if that means propping up, then definitely sit on a block, a bolster up against a wall. We are going to work with the breath for just a little bit, so make sure that you feel supported and comfortable here. Making sure that the pelvis is upright. Engaging the lower belly here, lifting the pelvic floor, the lower belly's in and up, we're tall through the sides. Try and rest your shoulders, move them away from your ears and together on your back. Opening your heart, finding a proper posture, and even this makes you feel better, yeah? And this. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take the bottom tips of your ears back. And look for troubled areas, right? Whether maybe you're a little tense or you're squeezing something that you don't really need to be without even thinking about it. Whether maybe your knee is bothering you today, or whether your breath is feeling a little weird. The body has very, very distinct reactions to stress, even if we don't notice it right away. So being aware of those places, and if it is entirely mental, see if you can release, intentionally release into those places. Coming to work on the breath here. With your next exhalation, get extra empty. Continue to exhale. Even when you think you're done, there's always that stale little stuff in the bottom that's been hanging out for whatever, right? Get rid of all of it. And then as you inhale, draw that air deep into your lungs. Let your upper belly poke out. And then exhale it all the way again, squeezing the belly in. Get rid of that stale junk in the bottom. Let's do it again. Get empty. One more time like that. And we're adding on with this next one. So get really, really, really empty. As you inhale, draw that air deep into the lungs. Let your upper belly poke out, but there's still space. Keep inhaling, expand wide through your side ribs. And as you exhale, squeeze your rib cage back together, pull your belly in and get empty. Again, like that. We're going to do one more like that. So nice and deep and wide. I'm going to bet there's still some space. So let's fill it up. Inhale deep, wide, and then continue to inhale until you couldn't take another sip of air. You are full to the top. And then exhale from the top, through the middle, to the bottom. Again, like that, fill up bottom to top. Every little nook and cranny. Exhaling top to bottom. You got one more of those. Keep that idea in your mind. There's so much space there. See if you can find something in the middle so that the breath is still nice and full, using all of the lung, but it's not so intense that we can't do anything else. Adding in movement to the breath. Let's go ahead and take the arms out to the sides. With the inhale, stretch them up. Exhaling, bring them back down. Again. One more of those. Back to the top, inhale. Exhale, just your left hand back to the mat and give yourself a little tip to that side. Take a great big breath in here. Fill into those right side ribs especially. And then come on back to the top. Inhale. Take it over to the right. Same idea, big breath. Back to center. And then over to the left again. See if you can get a little bit deeper stretch. Maybe drawing the right shoulder back a bit. And then back to the top. Over to the right, last one here. And then coming back to center. Exhaling both hands. Sitting nice and tall here. Let's take the left hand over to the right knee, right hand behind the back. Give yourself an easy little twist over to the side. Keeping the spine tall. See if you can relax your shoulders, keeping the chest open and lifted. Let's release that back to the middle and take the second side. Releasing it back to center. Let's go back to that first side and make this one a little bigger. So using the arms into the mat, pressing down, pulling against the knee, rotate the belly around. Turning the side ribs toward the back of the mat, not leaning, turning. Drawing the right shoulder back and keeping the left shoulder back so the chest is still open. Don't let that left shoulder collapse on you. Let's release it, coming back through the center. Take the second side, same idea. Rotating around as evenly up the spine as you can. And then releasing that to come back to the middle. Let's bring the hands to the knees. On an inhale here, draw the shoulder blades together. Really lift your chest and open. Exhale, round through your spine. Think forehead to belly button. And just take a few flows like that. Connected to the breath, up and down the spine. Once more in each direction. And then we'll find a center. So sitting up nice and tall here, right? Adjusting the pelvis if you need to. Bringing the soles of the feet together. Hanging onto the ankles rather than the toes. When you pull on the toes, it lifts your feet away from the floor. We want to pull on the ankles and see if we can draw those heels in toward the groin more or not. Using the elbows at the inner hips here, gently pressing down, not the knee, the hip. And then keeping the spine tall, hinging forward, belly button toward heels. Keeping the shoulders together on the back, keeping the head in line with the spine. We're going to take one more breath here. With the inhale, hinge back up. And let's extend the legs long. So again, if you need to make adjustments on the pelvis, definitely do. If you are still seated up on a block here, watch the knees. Don't let them hyperextend. Right? Flexing the feet, finding that long spine here. Let's reach the arms. With the exhale, hinge forward here. Remember, when you can't hinge any further, just let the hands fall, trying to keep the shoulders on the back where they belong. Big full breaths. And just notice what changes as you hold a pose. Sometimes, especially early, right? You start off one place and you can fairly quickly move a little deeper. But in other poses, as you hold, your body might tell you something else. We're going to take another deep breath here. With the next inhale, coming back up to the top. Exhaling the arms. And then we're going to open the feet. So let's come into a straddle, and it's early. So don't worry about how wide the straddle is. Just like with everything, right? Starting off gentle. So finding a nice little stretch in the inner groin, making sure that you still feel upright on your pelvis. Flexing the feet, pointing the toes up toward the ceiling, watch them. If the toes fall in, bring your feet a little closer. If they fall out, maybe you can open a little wider. So just being aware of that. We're going to sit tall in the middle here. Inhale, stretch the arms up. Let's rotate the belly button toward the left leg. And we're going to fold over the left leg. Let your hands fall to either side of the leg. Not reaching for the toes. Just like in a forward fold. That right cheek will lift up off the mat if you let it. Put it down. And then see if you press harder into your left hand, if you can rotate your belly button more toward the thigh. We're going to take one more breath here. With the inhale, make your way back up to the center. I'm going to switch, take it over to the right. So same idea. Check in with the pelvis, draw the shoulders down and back, maybe rotate the belly button around toward the thigh a bit more, and the fold is what it is. On the next inhale, we're coming back up to the middle. Releasing the arms. And this time here, take your left hand and pin it underneath your right thigh. Extend the right arm, and we're going to hinge over toward the left toes over here. But we want to keep the shoulder back, so don't worry about touching your toes. That's not the goal. See about bringing your elbow to the inner thigh here. And then you can press against it. And instead of rotating your belly button toward the thigh, think rotating your belly button toward the ceiling. Find space. You got one more breath here. And on the inhale, we're coming back up to the top. Switching sides. So the right hand pinned underneath the left thigh. The left arm is reaching up. As you hinge over, see about taking that elbow to the inner thigh. Maybe all the way to the mat, maybe not. It doesn't matter. You can still press against the thigh to draw the belly around. Taking the shoulder back, maybe looking up unless that bothers your neck. And if it's too much for the shoulder, for the arm to be over, the hand can be at the hip. Everything else is the same, right? Let's take one more big breath. With the inhale, making your way back up to the top. And then releasing your hands to the middle here. Keeping the spine tall, we're going to simply fold forward. So belly button to the floor. Maybe not. Thinking about the legs, watching the toes, shoulders back. And again, if you feel like you must reach for something, right? Reach out toward your toes. Or think reaching your chest toward the floor. Belly button. Let's stick with the belly button. One more nice big breath here. On the inhale, making your way back up again. Use the hands if you feel like you need to. Bring the feet together. Wiggle around a little bit. And then we're going to come around onto hands and knees. So spreading the fingers nice and wide, make sure your belly's pulled in. Find that neutral place for your shoulders on your back. If you wiggle them around, there's a lot of places they could be, right? So check in that they're in the neutral position. And then we're going to extend the right leg straight back. Heel in line with the hip, toes pointing at the floor, right? Press through that leg, make it like you're standing on it. And then stretch the left arm forward, reaching away from the body. Keeping the breath smooth and easy as all of those muscles are working. Let's release it. Same idea to the second side here, left leg and right arm. Let's release that back down. And then we're going to add in a flow. So let's go back to that first side, right leg and left arm, extending away from the body. Make it that intentional. As you exhale, pull the elbow and knee together underneath. Give it a squeeze. Inhale, stretch it out. Matching the movement to the breath. And maybe you wobble. Let's go one more of those. And then release back down. Switching sides. So left leg and right arm. When you're ready, connect it to the breath, exhaling the elbow and knee together, and inhaling away. Let's go one more on this side. And then release. Last time like this here, extend the right leg and left arm. This time bending at the knee and reaching around for the foot. Pressing the foot into the hand. See about lifting the toes a little higher. Watch that the knee doesn't point out toward the side. Try and point it toward the floor. Gently releasing, stretch long, and then take it back to the floor. Second side, left leg and right arm. Bending when you're ready. Finding the foot. Maybe opening up a little deeper if that's you. We'll release, stretching long. Coming back down. And then setting back in child's pose. So take a gentle break here. Adjust if you need to adjust. Cushion or prop your body in whatever direction it needs. Stretching the arms out nice and long here, ground into the four corners of the hands, and let's make our way to down dog. Gently moving and stretching. Beginning to settle in here, so setting the heels toward the floor, pressing the chest back, letting your head hang between your arms. Even here, find that neutral position on your back for your shoulders. You can sag through, you can press away, just like everywhere else, right? So find the middle. Make sure the belly's pulled in. Let's lift the right leg. Open at the hip without letting that left shoulder dip. Bending at the knee. Let's release that. And we'll switch sides. Lifting the left. Open the hip, take those toes high, and bend the knee. Releasing that side, back into down dog. We're going to step the feet forward and come to standing fold. Planting the feet under the hip bones. Taking the legs straight and bringing the hands to the thighs. Lift halfway up, holding here in the middle. Find this 90-ish degree in the bend in the hip here. Shoulders together, belly engaged. And then bend into the knees, keeping that same angle in your hip. So the chest is open and lifted instead of collapsing toward your legs. Hang on if you need to hang on, certainly. Bringing the palms together or extending the arms. Strong and steady into the foundation of your body. With an inhale, we're going to stretch to the ceiling. And exhale to release the arms. Moving into some sun salutes. Connect to your breath, right? Modify anything you need to modify. And let's do it. So grounding into the four corners of the feet. Inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale, take yourself into fold. Inhale and come halfway up. Exhale, step yourself back into plank. Take the knees if you'd like, drop down to the belly, controlled. Hands next to the side ribs, just a gentle little roll into those shoulders for cobra. And then release up and back into down dog. Inhale the feet forward into fold. That next inhale brings us halfway up. And then fold back over again. Reach it to the ceiling. And exhale the arms. So again, just like that. Inhale up. Exhaling to the fold. Coming halfway up. Exhaling back to plank. Take that same exhalation if you can, down to the belly. Inhale into your cobra. Releasing that back to down dog. Inhaling, stepping forward. Halfway up. And over again. Reach it up. And release. Adding in with this next one, again, with your breath. Inhale into a chair. And then exhale into fold. Halfway up. Exhale, plank. Taking it down. Inhaling for cobra. Back to down dog. This time the inhale brings the right foot forward for lunge. Back knee or heel to the mat. We're lifting up. And then exhaling back down. Into down dog. And forward into plank. Exhale to the belly. And inhale for cobra. Back to down dog. And the left foot steps forward. Take your time, toes to fingers, heel or knee to the mat. We lift. And then release. Into down dog. And forward into plank. Dropping down. Into cobra. And then release, down dog. You can hold your down dog. Or maybe drop down into child's pose. Listen to your body, listen to your breath. What is your breath telling you? You got one more breath where you are there. And if you drop down, lift back into down dog. From down dog, stepping the feet forward into fold. With the next inhale, make your way halfway up. Fold back over again. With the inhale, sit into chair. And exhale to release. Good. All right. So let's get into some warrior. We're going to step the right foot back, short step. All 10 toes are pointing forward here. That back foot likes to turn out, but then as you notice, my hip dropped out, right? So pull them forward and ground the back heel. So your stance may need to be a little shorter. Bending into the left knee here. Keeping the hips and shoulders square to the top of the mat. Let's reach the arms. And if it's too much, the arms can definitely stay on the hips. If you want to open your chest, you can take a little baby back bend here. But thinking about the foundation, strong into the mat. Staying long through your spine. We're going to open up into warrior two. So bringing the arms parallel to the floor, left arm over left leg, right arm reaching back. Now your toes get to point out. Probably take a wider stance. You want to look for your left big toe so that you're seeing just your big toe. Shoulders over hips, arms parallel to the floor. Strong into the foundation, so pressing down evenly through four corners of both feet. Let's take the right hand to the back of the right thigh. We're going to turn the left palm toward the ceiling, reaching up. See if you can drop this left shoulder down so the chest turns a little bit more toward the ceiling than the side. Let's come back to the middle, warrior two. And then we're going to bring it forward. So bend the left arm, rested on the thigh, and take the right arm up and over the ear. Drawing the shoulder back, looking toward the ceiling if you like. Still feel even on your feet. Let's release it over into a lunge. So coming up on the back toes, we're going to work toward warrior three. So if you can just pick that back foot up and move into warrior three, go. Otherwise, hop in a little bit until you can take all the weight in the left foot and lift the right leg parallel to the floor-ish. Press through both heels. Strong. And then you add maybe one hand up on the thigh, maybe two. Bringing the upper body parallel to the floor as well. Flying the arms if you're feeling that today. Release it into fold. Let's take a bend in the knees, and roll up through the spine back to standing. So now you know where we're going. Let's do the second side. Short step back with the left foot. Again, paying attention to your feet. Everything else is kind of extra. Ground down. Square your hips and shoulders. Reach the arms. Opening into warrior two, opening the feet. Check for your big toe here. Taking the left hand to the back of the thigh, right palm's turning up. Reach, and then drop that right shoulder back down. Opening. And back into warrior two. Bend the right arm, resting the forearm, left arm over the ear. Releasing it over into lunge. Popping the back toes in until you can lift the left leg away from the mat. Keeping the hips square. You decide if the hands stay on the floor or not. Let's release it back into the fold. And just allow yourself to hang for a moment. Maybe a little bend in the knees, to grab opposite elbow, let your head hang. From there, stepping back into down dog, and then all the way down, take another child's pose again. Give yourself a moment. So from child's pose, let's come up onto an all fours position. And we're going to step the feet just outside of the hands. And you can be all on or, well, you want to be all on or all off your mat. So you may turn sideways if that's better for you. So the feet are roughly just wider than shoulders, right? And you can adjust closer together or further apart if you need, of course. We're going to take the fingers between the feet. So bend into the knees as much as it takes. You can have them bent or straight. Either one is fine. And then see if you can kind of work your shoulders in between your knees. And maybe take your hands behind your heels. And if you keep kind of wiggling and shifting and bringing the shoulders more between the knees, you might be able to bring your hands up over the tops of your feet, maybe. So the legs can stay more straight, or you can bend, bringing the hips down. Feeling long through your spine, nice and even through your feet here, right? We're going to release that. Come on back into all fours. And sit back into a child's pose. So here comes the scary part, or the maybe scary part. So if you're feeling a little bit intimidated and you have a blanket or something accessible to you and you want to set it at the top of your mat, you can definitely do that. A block even will work, right? Isn't a block. So up on hands and knees again. And this time we're going to step the feet roughly to that same place, just outside of, maybe just kind of behind a little bit more than outside. But you're going to adjust so that you can bring your knees kind of into your armpits, right? As much as they'll go. And you can wiggle, right? I have to come up on my toes. I don't know if that means my arms are too short or what, but it is what it is. Or maybe my legs are too short. So once you have your knees kind of in your armpits, your shins rest on the backs of your arms, your upper arms a little bit. You feel that? So if you start to bend your knees and lean forward a little bit, your shins start to rest on your triceps, yes? See if you can feel the weight start to shift from your feet to your hands. Once you're feeling that, see if you can lift a foot up off the floor. Maybe you can lift them both. So give that a go just for another couple breaths. And you might fall out of it constantly, and that's all right. That's how we learn. Come on down and rest for a second. And when I first learned crow, that's how I first learned. And for a long time, I thought it was easier, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's not. So this variation may or may not work out. So you give it a go, and if the other way is better, maybe play with that again. But let's see. So the feet kind of in that behind and outside position. Again, adjusting as your body needs to adjust, of course. Like we brought our shoulders in between the knees before, this time we're going to bring the knees outside of the shoulders, right? So again, I have to come up on my toes. That may or may not be you. But now there's nothing to lean on, right? So if you squeeze your legs together like crazy and do the same thing, bend into your elbows a little bit, lean forward a little bit, maybe a foot comes up off the floor, and maybe the other one. Takes a lot of belly and that variation, but it might make more sense for your body. So feet. As even into the four corners of your hands as you can possibly be. Release what you got. Make your way back to all fours. Sitting back into a child's pose. Let your body just kind of soak into all that work it did. Slow the breath again if you got a little bit of breath. We're still good. Still breathing. Go ahead and slide forward out onto your belly. Making a little pillow for your head here. Turning the toes toward each other, rest your head on your pillow, and just kind of shake back and forth on your hips. Coming to a center here, and then we're simply going to roll over and onto the back. So take a moment after you've come back to your mat here. And whether your feet are flat to the floor, your legs are extended is completely up to you. But check in that the spine feels really neutral. Making any adjustments that you need, and then allowing your backside to rest into the floor. Releasing the muscles, let it get heavy. Being very aware of the contact with the mat. Right, this alignment of the spine. We want to take the feet flat to the floor, keeping what we've set on the back side. From here, extend the right leg straight up toward the ceiling. And you can definitely use a strap here across the ball mound of your foot, or even behind the thigh, right? But see if you can interlace your fingers behind the back of the thigh there without losing the alignment of your spine. And maybe you can, and maybe it's just completely impossible, right? If it's completely impossible, a strap is probably for you, but you may or may not have one. So you do the best you can, right? With an exhale, we're gonna pull the right leg in toward the chest a little bit. Look for the alignment of the spine. When you can't feel it anymore, that's it, right? And then let it go of it. So exhale, pulling that leg in a little closer. And then inhale and let it go. If you haven't already, find that place where your backside just starts to round, and it won't have it, right? And then that's the place you work. Trying to go a little further with the alignment of your spine, keeping the alignment of your spine. Let's take just a couple more like that. And then finding your new middle so that there's a little bit of a stretch, but nothing crazy, and you still have the alignment of your spine. Take the left arm out and glue that arm to the floor, glue your hip to the floor, support the outside of your leg with your right hand and let it start to fall right. So same idea here, when you feel those backsides start to shift, stop. And that's where you work. Your foot might not get anywhere near the floor. And you might be able to adjust, right, and go a little deeper. But find that place. See about flexing your right foot. Maybe rotating your toes toward the floor and the heel toward the ceiling. Is your left hip still on the floor? Let's take another big breath. And then we're going to come up to center. Take that leg all the way across the body, place it somewhere near your left hand. And then take your right arm and extend it out to the right. So yes, your right hip is lifted up off the floor. Maybe your right foot touches the hand and maybe it's nowhere near it. Try and relax that leg. If the knee needs to be a little bit bent, fine. You got one more breath here. Bending the knee first if you feel like that's for you. Come on back to center. Let's release the right foot. Realign the spine if you got a little crooked there. And then extend the left leg. So same idea here, kind of starting in the middle, keeping the spine neutral, using your strap or using your fingers behind the thigh here. And then exhale as you pull in. Inhale as you let go. Working until you find that place where the spine wants to adjust. Taking just a couple more of these.